On this installment of RIA Stories, I'm speaking with Shannon Spotswood, president at RFG Advisory. If you're new to RIA Stories, this is a series focused on helping advisors who are looking for the right national RIA to call their new home. The setup is simple. I will interview the guest in the same way I coach advisors to start their due diligence process with the new firm.
This is the Resilient Advisor Show with Jay Coulter.
Shannon, thanks for coming on RIA Stories.
Absolutely. We're thrilled to be here and can't wait to share our story.
All right, let's dig right in. Where does your firm fit on the spectrum of independence?
This is such an important question. I think that there is a lot of confusion in the marketplace about what does independence mean. And it is a central feature when we're talking to advisors because we define independence very specifically. It is core to our DNA. So if you think about the spectrum of I'm a W-2 advisor all the way to I'm out on an island all by myself running my own shop, we're going to be right in the middle. So our advisors are 1099. It is incredibly important to us that we are constantly talking about helping them build their business without compromise. It is their enterprise value that we're driving. It is their clients. It is their data. So independence really means something at RFG. We believe very passionately. And I will tell you that as some of our larger competitors have started to open up multiple channels within their platforms, all the way from a W-2 channel, we've got the aggregators, the integrators, the tuck-ins, that there is even more confusion now about how do advisors fit into that independent spectrum. For us, it means you own your brand, you own your clients. We are not looking to financially engineer our clause into our advisors. So we want to be the platform where advisors want to land if that independence means something, if they're thinking about the future very innovatively and disruptively and realize that driving organic growth translates into building enterprise value. That is independence for us.
All right, so Shannon, how would you define your firm?
Oh my gosh, we are so passionate about serving independent advisors. So would you indulge me a little bit and can I tell some of the history of RFG? Because I think how we define our firm is rooted in that history. Good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So RFG was founded more than 20 years ago by Bobby White. Bobby is an advisor. The first really 13 years of the company's history, it was Bobby. It was more of an OSJ override model, predominantly brokerage and assets. And he decided in late 2014 that he wanted to go on a crusade for growth to double the size of the business. He was about $450 million at the time. And through two succession-driven partnerships, ended up tripling the size of the business and grew it from $450 million to $1.2 billion. And as he tells this story, he was eating that elephant. So he's looking around at the industry. It's an OSJ override model. It is predominantly brokerage. He's just done these two deals that he really thought was going to be transformational for the business and finds himself in really a quandary of what is the value proposition? What is, can I do anything beyond this? And I spent the first 20 plus years of my career in San Francisco on the institutional side of the business. So I'm relatively new. I've been at RFG since 2015. I'm relatively new in the spectrum of the majority of professionals in our industry to retail wealth management. So 20 years in San Francisco on the institutional side as a hedge fund manager, as an investment banker. I always knew I wanted to work on Wall Street. I met Bobby as a filler meeting. He was doing a favor for a friend of his who happens to be my across the street neighbor. And I had moved with my husband from San Francisco to Birmingham, Alabama. I had taken a break from the industry for 3 years. I built a luxury children's clothing company, which is a whole different podcast we can do about the power of the pivot. And I was eager to get back into the world of finance. And something that I did that really helps to frame up like why Bobby and I became partners is before I went on my job search, I did a deep like diagnostic into the 2 hedge funds I worked at, the investment bank, the children's clothing company, of what made me tick. And what I realized is what's going to drive me to jump out of bed in the morning is that intersection of talent and opportunity and this gift of building something bigger than yourself. So I realized I'm a builder. So Bobby White and I have this filler meeting on our calendar. And 10 minutes into our very first meeting, we both canceled the rest of our day. And we spent the next 2.5 hours in his office on a legal pad talking about what if. What if you tore RFG 1.0 all the way down to the ground and you built a platform for independent advisors from the ground floor up, where independence is the core nucleus, and you wrap advisors with these services. And we had that discussion against the backdrop of all of this disruptive change that is, that is not only a factor today, but I think is heightened as we think about the future of our industry, the generational wealth transfer, the succession crisis, the amount of private equity that has come into our industry that is fueling all of our technology and fintech, the changing expectations of a client of what it means to work with a financial advisor, fee compression. How do you spend your time? Like all of these disruptive factors. So it took us about 6 months to work through our partnership. And I started with him on September 1st of 2015. We spent the entire first year on due diligence on the industry of what would that platform look like? How would we become multi-custodial? How would we build a fully integrated tech stack? How would we deliver to advisors institutional caliber investment management? How would we make available financing solutions for M&A, for succession planning, for getting rid of those forgivable loans that are holding so many advisors back? And so when you ask that question of what does RFG stand for, we spent a significant amount of time not only thinking about that, but building that. Because when you tear a company and you've built to $1.2 billion, there are very few founder advisors who would be even willing to entertain that conversation. But when you tear a company down to the ground, you have to get incredibly clear on who are you. Otherwise, no advisor is going to follow you and take that transformational journey of change. So RFG, as we built RFG 2.0, is a client experience company first, we're a technology company second, and we're a platform for independent advisors third. And we had our head down for the last 7 years building that platform. Our third partner, who's our chief investment officer, joined us exactly 1 year later in 2016. He had this tremendous pedigree, Harvard, Stanford, number one in his class at Stanford, 12 years at Bain Capital, running an $8.5 billion portfolio. He came in to help us build institutional caliber investment management for our advisors. So we were just locked in developing this platform to serve advisors. How can we operationalize their business? How can we deliver them fully integrated, frictionless technology? How can we help them build their talent and their team so that that team is showing up as a force multiplier for retention, for growth, for prospecting? So we have gone very deep in all of the service aspects of what does it mean to have all of those resources fully integrated and anchored around independence so that an advisor can spend their most valuable resource on deepening and amplifying that one-to-one relationship with a client and driving organic growth, prospecting, building that enterprise value. So RFG, and we've entered into RFG 3.0 with our growth capital partner, which we brought on in the fall of 2023. And I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the podcast. But RFG stands very declaratively in the marketplace. We help advisors build their business without compromise. We focus on advisors who are 50 million to 300 million, who want to grow to become 300 million to a billion. We are servant heart, growth mindset as a culture. We're very focused on what does it mean to be the RIA of the future. We tend to skew younger. Average age of an advisor is 48 years old. But what knits us all together, what makes our culture so rich, is that we are a team of builders. We're entrepreneurs. We're all energized by that intersection of talent and opportunity and building something bigger than yourself. And we believe that that is really the most kind of honest way and most exciting segment of the market to be in as we sit here at the beginning of what is going to be arguably one of the most disruptive, one of the most exciting chapters for the next 5 to 20 years in the wealth management industry.
Let's keep it high level and put some numbers on the organization. How many locations do you have today?
So we are headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. We have 56 teams affiliated with us. We're $5 billion, and we are predominantly in the Southeast and Midwest, but we have advisor partners from New York to San Francisco. So as we build RFG 3.0, we are definitely a national firm because that appetite, that need for supported independence, it's coast to coast.
And how many non-advisor employees do you have at the home office?
Well, we're currently at we've hired 17 people, predominantly in our growth team. So branding and marketing, both B2B and B2C for our advisors, business development, advisor onboarding. So we're about 58 team members today, and we're just continuing to build out those resources for advisors.
Okay. So to clarify, you have 58 non-advisor employees?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I want to break this up into a couple of sections so advisors who are looking at multiple organizations can try and compare apples to apples. And let's start with growth. And I have a feeling you're going to be excited to talk about this. But tell us about the marketing support you provide advisors.
This is the hill we want to die on. We've talked a couple times about we help advisors build their business without compromise. For us, a key component of that is driving organic growth. So we invest very specifically and very heavily in helping our advisors on a branding and marketing front. So when they join RFG, we build their website, we help them create their brand, their logo, their social media, all of their video content, my why video, my elevator pitch video, all of that rich, authentic storytelling is a hugely important part of what we believe how advisors drive that organic growth, deepen those client relationships. So we not only provide all the resources and pay for all of that to happen, we help our advisors build a 12-month marketing plan that ties into their strategic plan. We invest hard dollars, $30,000 to $40,000 per advisor in growth. And that looks different because every business looks different. That looks different for every advisor. Some advisors want to invest in digital. Some want to invest in invitation-driven financial literacy and educational seminars. Some want to invest in client events. Some want to do a hybrid of all three of those. So we dig in with the strategic planning, align that marketing plan to the strategic planning, and then we show up with hard dollars to help really drive that growth. And it really is a differentiating factor in the market. But what we found, and this is just mind-boggling, the average advisor is investing right around 1 to 2% of revenue. And then you in branding and marketing, and then you stack it up against what is organic growth in the industry. It's averaging 2 to 3%. So it's no shocker that there is no organic growth in the industry when there is no investment in what is the growth driver, the branding and marketing, the client experience. So for us, because this is the hill we want to die on, because we're constantly helping our advisors start podcasts, have a presence on social media, develop journeys both for their clients and for their prospects from a marketing perspective, we're like, let's walk the walk. Let's put our money where our mouth is. So we're investing in those hard dollars, and it is paying a dividend. So advisors at RFG who are leveraging the full extent of the platform, their practice is highly operationalized. We're going to talk about team and our outsourced talent agency that we've built. So they're operationalized. They're leveraging our team. We're doing strategic planning. They're outsourcing investment management to us, are growing organically at 19%.
Let's talk about inorganic growth. Do you guys provide capital, M&A capital for acquisitions for your advisors?
So we do, but we're not an aggregator. We are not looking to be active out there in the M&A space and grow the platform through inorganic growth. This is really a service that we provide for our existing advisors. So tucking in advisors to their firms, helping them execute succession plans. We do provide the capital. We provide the deal structuring. We provide all the resources, both in terms of the emotional journey that goes through that, the integration that's required to have success on the other side of that transaction, and then the deal structuring, the legal terms, like how you actually mechanically structure that deal. We provide all of that, but only for our existing advisors. We're not out there. We're the, like, maybe the only firm that you're going to talk to that's like, we do not have an active M&A strategy. That is not how we're growing. There is more than enough advisors out there who are looking for pure independence, and that's where we want to sit.
When you think about a successful advisor who's joined your firm and grown after they've joined, could you give us an example? And you don't have to name any names, but of a positive experience an advisor's had affiliating with your firm.
Oh my gosh, I love this question. I'm so glad you asked it. Our advisors are not only knit together because of that intersection of talent, opportunity, and building something bigger than yourself, but they are coming to us with a growth mindset. They are coming to us because they want to be wrapped in that big bear hug of services so that they can be powered to deliver that client experience. They can be powered to have that growth engine turned on. So when I think about our advisors, and they really are, because we're so focused on helping each advisor build their business, they all look different. We have advisors who are focused on serving women, athletes, the millionaire next door, business owners, veterinarians, doctors, all of those niche segmentations each have their own special sauce for how you're delivering that experience. But I'm going to share with you I'm going to actually share two stories because I think it's important to really bring this home. The first is one of our largest clients based in Shreveport, Louisiana, WFA. Their website is Plan, Invest, Inspire. And what's exciting about this story is it checks a lot of boxes. WFA originally was called Williams Financial Advisors. It was founded by Tommy Williams 35 plus years ago. In 2019, we helped Tommy retire. We transitioned that business to the three now owners, the three advisors. They're in doing that, similar to the story of RFG, where we flipped the business from brokerage to advisory. We layered in all of this technology and all of this best practice, all of this strategic planning. So when Tommy retired, we leaned very heavily into what is the business they wanted to build. And we did twice annual, 2 times a year strategic planning with big vision casting. How do we want to grow? How do we want to build the team? They are very diligent about love affair marketing, about their birthday call list. They are the only team I know that month in and month out sits on that birthday call list, makes those intentional connections with their clients. They are a big part of our women's focused initiative called Stronger Money. They host events for Stronger Money, a yoga fest. They're constantly doing events with our chief investment officer. They outsource investment management. They are hungry for any type of professionalization and operationalization of their business. They're always raising their hand for beta testing new technologies around AI, around planning. How can they do more? How can they serve more? That is a business that has doubled since we started doing this intentional strategic planning. They've now executed a second succession plan. They brought in another advisor, Tom Chancellor. We did a succession plan for him. They were recently named, Chase Crump was recently named an NFL approved financial advisor. That is, if you've ever talked to advisors about that, an incredibly rigorous process, but it is something, and it is so cool. You'll appreciate this, Jay. 3 years ago, we were doing a podcast with them talking about identifying athletes, professional athletes, as one of the niches that they wanted to build into. And here we are in 2023 announcing that they became an NFL approved financial advisor. So what makes them a success story, what makes them such a great case study about RFG is that they leaned in. They were all in on strategic planning, on outsourcing, on professionalizing, of having a growth mindset, of being open to receiving that bear hug of services. That is an advisor who is very successful. We are not a good fit for an advisor who's like, give me a Chinese food menu and leave me alone. I want to do it all myself. That's not who we are. We want to deliver this level of service, and we really pride ourselves on tracking our net promoter score. So our net promoter score, which we just surveyed last month in April, is an 85. We are going to walk the walk on delivering that service. The second example I'm going to give you is really another, it has a lot of these succession planning, niche focus, leaning into serving women, is Chris Waddell and a brand that we created with her called Valair. So she, again, a succession plan with Laura Hinton. She joined us. She was $30 million. She leaned into all of the services, planning, building her team, operationalizing, outsource investment management, affecting a strategic plan. She's now north of 200 million. I mean, these are just, stories. We took WFA from sub 200 million. They're knocking on the door of almost 500 million. Just transformational journeys of change. But it is, again, knit together with that servant heart, that warrior mindset, that willingness to disrupt themselves, and a commitment to getting 1% better every day.
Excellent stories. Let's pivot to wealth management. So when I think about wealth management, it involves investing, financial planning, insurance, tax resources, and alternatives. We're going to get into all of that. How do you define wealth management at your firm?
Oh gosh, I think you just did. I mean, clients are telling us, the one thing I would add to wealth management is clients are telling us that they want their advisors to be financial life advisors. So table stakes is a high degree of proficiency around financial planning, investment management, tax planning, estate planning. That's table stakes. But then layering on top of that, the human side of money would be how we would define wealth management.
All right. So let's dig into investments. You have a partner who serves as chief investment officer, it sounds like. What's the offering? What does the team look like?
Okay. So wealth management for us is, we want to be the Cheesecake Factory. We want to be able to say yes to advisors to solve all of their unique pain points and opportunities for serving their clients. So we have 6 lanes. We call them swim lanes of investment management. Our investment platform is called Bluemont, and I'm just going to walk you through the 6 lanes. So lane number 1, we manage in-house. Rick and his team with our investment committee manages in-house portfolios called Select. ETF version of those strategies, mutual fund version of those strategies. So that is effectively the easy button. Rick partners with our advisors. He does a lot of events with our advisors. We've recently added Brendan Frazier, who is our chief behavioral officer, to that team. So they're doing events with clients. They're sitting in on prospecting meetings. They're helping to design those individual client accounts, taking into consideration highly appreciated securities, restricted stock, like all the things that need to get dealt with. So we've got Select as swim lane number 1, easy button, managed in-house by our investment team. Swim lane number 2, we have a partnership with SmartX to allow for SMA, UMA, thousands of managers, fully integrated. Swim lane number 3, direct indexing. So that's a great option for advisors with qualified accounts that non-qualified accounts that need to have some tax management happening in them. So swim lane number 3, direct index. Swim lane number 4, alternatives. So we have a partnership with Case to be able to do alternatives. Swim lane number 5 is called Blueprint. And this is where we are providing the advisor with the ingredients to make the soup. Here's a list of funds. Here's a list of how you can blend all these strategies together, but they're acting as PM, but we're handling all the trading and the compliance. So swim lane 1 through 5 is concierge level trading, concierge like partnership around portfolio design with the advisor, mapping each client account so that they can really have that wide range. What's the right solution for the client? And then swim lane number 6 is the recognition that there are just those clients that the advisor has to manage the assets. They've sold it that way. They've always done it. So swim lane number 6 is advisor as PM.
So what's the difference between advisor as PM and swim lane number 5?
So advisor as PM is like, they might be in there like, I want to research these stocks. I want to build this specific stock portfolio. I want to do all the investment. This is my process. This is my policy. This is how I'm going to trade it. I'm going to handle it soup to nuts, including all the compliance and trading responsibility. Whereas swim lane number 5, they're building those portfolios from ingredients that they basically tell us we want, but we're handling the trading and the compliance side of it. So it's just those like there's always a couple, usually these are legacy accounts where the advisors always manage them and they want to continue doing that. So those fall into swim lane number 6.
All right. What is the cost structure for those 6 lanes?
Okay. So when we talk about, and this is probably one of the most important benefits that you deliver with RIA Stories, because you talk to a lot of advisors, I talk to a lot of advisors. When you start talking about platform costs between firms, it is apples to oranges to orangutans. We all love to use different language, and I'm a spreadsheet girl. I'm an ex-hedge fund management girl. So it's like my love language is let's build a pro forma. But I'm going to walk you through how I think the best way to answer this for RFG. Our advisors on average net of fees, so net of our platform fee, net of our, net of their expenses for their team, their real estate, whatever it is they're investing in their business, averages about 60% EBOC margin. We charge a platform fee. The platform fee includes all of the swim lanes. It also includes a topic that we're going to get to. We've talked about the branding and marketing work that we do. We haven't quite gotten to technology, but we will. So for us, the platform includes all of the services: technology, branding and marketing, investment management, compliance, operational support, helping you build your team, the succession planning, the M&A support, like all of the resources of the platform are included in that platform fee. Our platform fee is 45 basis points. If they're using swim lane number 6, including that advisor as PM, which can be 20 to 30% of the client assets, that blends down to 40 basis points. Typically, our advisors are passing on 25 to 30 basis points to their client for investment management.
Got it. I love the way you describe that. That is the hardest thing for an advisor looking to make a move because every pro forma looks different and it's hard to compare and contrast.
And I'll tell you, just like, can we soapbox for a minute?
Let's do it.
We have this conversation all the time. Like, I have a 90% payout. And then you walk them through, the numbers, and their take home pay is 38%. You're like, you don't have a 98% payout. Our industry is just incredibly adept at hiding what are the economics. And advisors, I think, it's hard. This is hard to do all this analysis. It's hard to understand, what is my client paying? What am I paying? What is covered? What is a la carte? What are all the hidden fees? This is really complicated when you start comparing all of these different platforms. So we wanted for RFG, and sometimes, I'll be honest, this works against us because we are so transparent about, this is our platform fee. This is all the service. We're not going to play this financial engineering game. We're going to talk all day long about, what does a 19% organic growth rate mean in terms of your W-2, your 1099 take-home pay, in terms of your enterprise value creation. So we love to anchor around those numbers. We're also, we spent our careers, Rick and I spent our careers on the institutional side of the business. We love to talk about financial engineering, whether it's a forgivable loan, free money, we're going to buy 50% of your firm. That math, when you really start to pencil it out, and this is where we feel like, what is our righteous and just cause? If you are an advisor who is looking to grow, who is looking to be well-positioned for this generational wealth transfer, who is building those bridges between G1 and G3, who is thinking disruptively about your business, you're absolutely insane to take free money. You're insane to sell a majority of your firm. Like, you are sitting on one of the greatest opportunities you will ever see. And so, because our platform is all about independence, that's where we sit. We're like, we want to deliver, we want to show up with that service offering that's going to be anchored around operationalization, professionalization, driving enterprise value. How do you drive enterprise value? Organic growth. So it's a great conversation, but it requires a lot of time in a spreadsheet building pro formas to understand, what is that 90% payout really?
Let's keep going on.
Sorry
wealth
for my
management.
soapbox.
No, hey, listen, I could stand up there with you. It's one of the biggest problems in this industry for well-meaning advisors that want to break away, that want to go independent, because there isn't clarity on it.
There isn't clarity on it.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up wealth management. Tell me about the financial planning and insurance resources that you provide.
Okay, so on the financial planning front, the majority of our advisors are financial planning led. Integrated into our tech stack is both eMoney and Money Guide Pro, so fully integrated into the tech stack. We're also looking at Holistiplan. They've got some really interesting things. So I can see us, this is like religion for advisors. They are very evangelical about their financial planning tool. So what we require is, it's got to be frictionless. It's got to be fully integrated into the tech stack so that it's actually a tool that the advisors can use. We have not yet built centralized financial planning for our advisors, where they're, the way that we built their team, their CSAs, their admins, the marketing support. It is something that I could see us building in the future. But right now, the majority of that financial planning is being done by our advisors, with the heavy lifting coming from that integration of the tool. And then tax planning, we've been an early adopter of FP Alpha. We're big believers in what AI is doing in terms of helping advisors ask the right questions around estate planning and tax planning. And then we're leveraging COIs for our advisors. So helping them, if they don't have those relationships in place, helping them build those relationships, but we're not doing tax planning in-house.
Got it. And your alternatives are outsourced through Case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Excellent. Let's switch gears to something I think you're going to be excited about. Again, it's technology. So let's start at the basics. Which custodians are you working with?
We are currently working with Fidelity and Schwab on the advisory side. We are a hybrid, so brokerage assets are custodied at Pershing. I have had the privilege of sitting on Goldman Sachs advisory board. They're doing something really interesting in custody. So, as they get further down the field, I wouldn't be surprised if we became multi-custodial with Schwab, Fidelity, and Goldman.
Excellent. Which CRM are you using?
Salesforce. And I'll tell you, we freaking love it. We just finished rolling out our FSC, so Financial Services Cloud. We ran for an entire year a beta test group with our advisors. They helped us build it. For us, technology is not for vanity and glory's sake. It is designed to drive time back into the advisor's day to operationalize and professionalize and deepen that client relationship. So Salesforce is our CRM. We show up, and this is something that I would go higher level RFG. What does tech mean? We standardize all the way down to the desktop. So we handle all of the, email, printers, cybersecurity, all of the hardware to the Ferrari that we are parking on advisors' desk in terms of their fully integrated tech stack. And what that allows us to do is our tech team is comprised of tech consultants. So we show up with advisors on, here is your toolkit on how to build workflows. Here are the custom reporting you want to do. Here's the client journeys you want to take. So this isn't just a delivered integrated tech stack. We're taking each one of our tech solutions, we're building it to be customized for RFG. We're creating dashboards, we're white labeling and branding things. We're really taking it to like the absolute best level that it can be to deliver that value. And Salesforce is at the core of that. So Salesforce, keep going.
All right. So hang on. If I'm a good prospect for you, I'm already independent and I have 10 years worth of data in Redtail or Wealthbox and I want to affiliate. Is it an option
Bring it on.
using that tool?
Nope. But we're going to convert all that data for you.
Okay. All right. And then you had mentioned FP Alpha for
Yep.
tax planning.
Yep.
Planning tools are eMoney, Money Guide Pro. What if I have a lot of data inside of Right Capital and I want to come over? Is that an option?
I mean, this is where it's like evangelical. So it's one of those, like, let's have a conversation. Like, that's just not the hill that we want to die on. Like, if an advisor is like, I love Right Capital and this is a big part of my value proposition for clients, let's talk about it.
Okay.
But it's got to be integrated. It cannot be like standing out there in its own little world without a bi-directional sync. It's got to be, because we're constantly piping data and building those workflows and building those reporting for advisors. So we've got to be able to do that. It can't just be a one-off.
Okay. So it's a discussion. It's not a deal killer.
That's right.
Okay. How about portfolio trading and accounting?
Orion.
I was expecting that or Black Diamond, given the size of your firm and the bi-directional requirement you have for data. How long have you been with Orion?
Oh my gosh. Remember that journey I told you about, doing an entire year of due diligence? I think there's still some folks at Orion who remember going through that sales process. So I love it when advisors say, we're going to turn on Orion. So we have been partners with them since 2016.
Okay, excellent. Anything else on the tech stack you think advisors should know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. We have built a custom chassis on top of called Pathfinder on top of FMG Suite that allows us to do video, custom content, fully white labeled and branded to all of our advisors. So that's something that's really important to us. We love some of the cool, innovative technology coming out of Fidelity Labs. So we have Safer integrated on the compliance side for marketing regulatory review. We have what we call Connect, which is Pontera, the ability for advisors to manage 401k plans. We've got the tools in place to be able to charge for fee-based financial planning, for financial consulting. You want to do family planning and charge for it. We've got those tools all built in to the tech stack. We love what Tom Fields is doing with financials. So we're doing a lot of cool work on what is the next gen version of the financial portal. So for us, technology is always in a dynamic state. We're the first to raise our hand to beta test new technology. We are always looking to be a collaborative partner. We recently rolled out nitrogen for risk scoring, so that's fully integrated. So there is just no shortage. But because we're a great partner to the fintech world, we get to do a lot of cool custom stuff. And we don't just point out what the flaws are. We work to make those fintech solutions better, and we hope better for the industry. There is no sense in holding ideas proprietary to RFG. We think a lot of the problems that we're solving are problems in the industry that need to be solved. One of the biggest ones that we're absolutely obsessed with, and we're doing work on fully digitized advisor transitions. So we've got digitized tools in place for account opening now. We're doing work with Digit to be able to do fully digitized transitions. So there's just no shortage. And we think that there is still, especially on account opening and advisor transitions, a lot of room to run. And then, of course, we've got a chief behavioral officer. So we're doing a lot thinking about how do we integrate that behavioral finance, the human side of money, into the client portal, into the marketing and prospecting journey.
Where are you guys on your AI journey?
Oh my gosh. I just got this book called AI is My Teammate. I haven't read it yet. I'll come back to you on it. We're hungry for it. We're hungry for it. We believe that the advisor of the future, in the same way that today, your time is your most valuable resource. Having a frictionless technology experience is only valuable because it gives you and your team back time. So where AI we think is going to be really helpful, I've mentioned some of our early adoption with FP Alpha, with Safer. Anything that is, I hate doing it. The friction, it bugs me. Why do I have to change addresses in multiple places? Why is this a pain point for advisors? AI is going to show up and be a powerful tool. So we're always going to be looking at how can we give advisors back more time? And I think as we learn more, as more comes out on the AI space, it's going to be anchored around removing things that people hate to do. And that's going to be awesome.
Next section. So I tell advisors this is the most boring but most important thing to understand about a firm, and that's the operational and compliance support. They always roll their eyes until they start a transition or land at a firm that does not have operational support that can support their business. So tell us about your operational support team.
Okay, so with everything at RFG, our best ideas come from our advisors. And I think one of the things that makes us a great partner is that we actually listen and then do something about it. So this is now several years ago. In doing strategic planning with advisors, within 5 minutes, they were talking about what has been identified as the number 2 pain point for advisors in multiple studies done by the custodians, which is talent. Number 1 pain point is organic growth. Number 2 pain point is talent. And it was, I can't find the talent. I can't retain the talent. I can't train the talent. It was just a source of tremendous frustration. And so we created RFG University, and we're going to train up the CSAs on compliance, on marketing, and operations. And that was such a big success that we're let's take that a step further. Let's create a mentorship program. So we're going to mentor the CSAs. And then that was such a big success that we're heck, let's go all the way. And we built a talent agency. So now all of our advisors, team members are W-2s of RFG. We hire them, we train them, we career path them, We mentor them. We built a whole supportive community around them. We have tech tools that only our CSAs use, that our advisors don't even have access to. Our goal is to turn CSAs and an advisor's team member into a force multiplier for that client experience, a force multiplier for growth. So that talent agency is a flex resource where larger teams will have 100% of their team dedicated to them, but advisors that are growing might have a 25%, 50%, 75%, up to 100% allocation. So fractional allocation to our CSAs through our talent agency. On top of that,
can I stop you for a second?
yeah.
This is really important. That's very compelling. I just want to make sure I understand. You join RFG, you have a couple of team members that are in a support role, and you need extra resources. You can just rent them from RFG?
You can rent them. And not only that, when you bring those team members with you, you're like, yep, I got an A team around me. They get all those resources. We onboard them. We don't just leave them out there to figure it out. We appoint them with mentors. They get career path. They get all the benefits. They get this, they're now a part of something. Someone goes on maternity leave. Someone has a family, crisis that they have to deal with. The advisor just isn't left holding the bag, or their team isn't just left on an island trying to figure it out. So not only are we bringing the coaching resources, the technology consulting resources, we're bringing all of this talent resource to them, LinkedIn Learning. We want them to feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah, that's an incredible value proposition that not a lot of your competition has. I think I interrupted you. You were going a little bit deeper on that.
Okay, so, and this is part of why we have such great relationships, and we are, I think the exception to the rule. We love our custodians. We had a fantastic transition from TD to Schwab, Fidelity, Schwab. They are great partners to us. And part of the reason that they are great partners to us is we have centralized operations. So our CSAs benefit from learning, shared learning. They have a monthly call. They have a whole thing called the Hive, their own internal, communication channel where they're constantly sharing ideas. But point of escalation for difficult problems to solve come into RFG Ops, and then we interface with the custodian. So our advisors have access to the custodial resources, but they don't have to be out there fighting these fires on their own. They bring them to us and we solve them. So that's on the operational side.
Can I clarify that? This is important. So you have a team that's associated with you. They're not sitting on hold with Schwab for an hour when they have high call volumes. Instead, they're turning it over to your team?
Yes. We're the point of escalation. They turn it over to, and we bird dog that. They don't waste their time on it. And then the beautiful thing is, once we get the solution, then we share it. So you're not sitting here rinse, repeat. Let's all make the same mistakes and have the same bad, frustrating experience. It's no. Now it gets put on our SharePoint site. We're going to talk about it on the Hive. We're going to do we have a monthly call with all of our CSAs. We're going to share that knowledge. So central point of escalation into the custodians, and then sharing that knowledge within the CSA community.
Very, very compelling operational support story for sure. Tell us about compliance at your firm.
Okay, before we do compliance, are we going to talk about transitional support here, or is that a separate section?
It's the next section.
Okay. All right. I'll hold that one. Okay, compliance. The best part of our compliance is they have an entrepreneurial mindset. They have an entrepreneurial mindset. We are not a firm where compliance, my name is no, my number is no, my sign is no, right? That's not who we're about. We started this conversation with, we help advisors build their business without compromise. Our compliance team asks that question first. What problem are you trying to solve? Why do you want to do this? So that changes everything. You'll get a kick out of this. Our chief compliance officer has a monthly podcast called Compliance Soup, where he just dishes about compliance. What's happening at the SEC? What are exam priorities? What are we seeing? What we've gotten XYZ question about how do I post on LinkedIn? Like all of that. So we are proactively going out there and fostering and building a collaborative culture around compliance. It's very bright white lines. We are in a highly regulated environment, but it doesn't mean that you have to stifle your entrepreneurial energy. It doesn't mean that you can't tell your authentic brand story, but it does mean you have to have a compliance partner who's your partner to solve business problems. So one of the stats, and this stuff isn't sexy at all, but I thought this was really cool. Because we're so all in on video and podcasting and marketing and storytelling and prospecting journeys and events and client events. And like, that's a lot of marketing material that's being completed. We have an 85% approval rate on our marketing material. And we have, unless it's a really big, like if an advisor's like, I'm going to write a book, like this rule does not apply. Like talk to us about that before you start, but this rule does not apply. But our goal is to have a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. So we're approving things really fast. We're pushing through a significant amount of custom volume, but we're doing it in a very collaborative way. So our advisors are calling our compliance team before they run down the pathway and create something that wouldn't be compliant. They're calling us first. And that to me is the sign of like a high performing compliance culture. You're their partner, not their mom.
Shannon,
like mean mom.
Let's talk about transitions. And, I feel like I could just give you a softball here and let you describe the whole process for us. What's the experience like for an advisor that transitions to your firm?
We approach transitions like a military operation. This is a very serious business, and we take it very seriously. And our goal is we are as prepared for game day to run the playbook that we spent, our pregame transition planning is 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to go very deep, and we have this like highly synchronized, the order in which the advisor is introduced to our team, the level and depth that we're going to do to understand their business, to create their brand, to be ready for game day is incredibly thorough. We have a whole team dedicated to transitions, both pre-game transition as well as post-game transition. So for us, average transition at RFG is 62.5 days. I will not rest until that's sub 30. And I know that there's some old guard in the industry who thinks I'm like some wild-eyed optimist and we're never going to get there. We are going to get there. We're going to get there. The custodians are working on this. Fully digitized paperwork is going to happen, and it will be a watershed moment for independence. So 62.5 days, we have a dedicated team. We run the pregame transition, as I mentioned, all of our functional teams, a significant amount of preparation to be ready for game day. And then what I think really makes us unique, because we have that talent agency, where if the advisor is bringing their team during that, that transition period, we're layering in all that mentorship, all that coaching, we're helping them. And our team is processing all the paperwork. We have a 2 a.m. report because every advisor wakes up at 2 a.m. completely panicking. Where are my clients? Where are they in the process? Have the assets ACAT'd? Have they signed? Has the husband signed? Has the wife signed? Like all the 2 a.m. like frenzy. 2 a.m. report is the gospel. That is just going to map out for the advisor exactly where they are in the process. We do stand-up huddles. We do Friday transition reports. We are taking that same like service mindset to transitions. And here's what we always say. Transitions are really, really hard. If someone tells you they're not, they're lying to you. So the only thing that you can do in the face of hard is be really prepared. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. You'll never be uncomfortable again. So are we perfect? No. Do we make mistakes? Yes. But do we immediately work towards a solution to get it right for the advisor? Absolutely. So it is highly scripted. It is militaristic. We love game day. And then we role playbook for those 62.5 days until that advisor is completely done with their transition. And obviously, you know this, depending on how the advisor is coming over, how strenuous is their non-solicit, non-compete, are they protocol, are they full data? That's going to determine what you're really able to do in terms of speed of a transition, but there is no substitute for being prepared. And because we help the advisor build their brand and tell their story, and this is a really exciting time. It's a scary time. It is walking through the valley of fear, but it's also a really exciting time where the advisor oftentimes is telling their authentic why for the very first time. And so there is like this tension between all of the, hope and promise of the future and the brand story and the video, and everything just feels beautiful from a marketing perspective, and the nuts and bolts of like, you got to walk through the valley. It's hard work. So I think we do a really exceptional job of doing hard things.
Do you limit the number of transitions you'll take at any given time?
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
So what does that look like?
I mean, that's almost an impossible, like it's a multivariable question to answer, because what you can't do is like full data means like all the paperwork is going to be populated at once and you're rolling out really, really fast. You can't stack multiples on top because your team needs to be fully like invested in getting that moved as fast as possible. Protocol transitions look different than non-solicit, non-compete transitions. So it's not as easy of a question of like a number. It has to do with, where's the advisor coming from? What does their contract look like? How is the data being treated? What is the legal strategy around it? And then you got to be really smart about knowing what your team is capable of. We're data obsessed. So we know based on the type of transition, how much paperwork we can push through, how fast. And that's how we determine how many we're able to do at the same time.
Okay, excellent. Let's switch to economics. Shannon, I like to keep this high level. Deals change, markets change. You don't know when somebody is watching this. Just go over again the affiliation option. We already discussed the platform fee. Kind of maybe put a little more color on that, and then talk about any technology fees you might have.
Okay, so we're 1099. Our advisors are independent. They own their own business. We are a hybrid. So we have about a third of our advisors are RIA only. A third of our advisors are duly registered. The duly registered is typically they have trail legacy holdings, trail income that they need to be serviced. There's not a lot of new business being done on the brokerage side. We do have on the RIA side a lot of the brokerage-like products. So the ability to do annuities, the ability to do 529s, like some of the things in the swim lanes that we talked about with regards to investment management. You have a lot of flexibility. We find that oftentimes something that we're really good at is converting brokerage assets to advisory assets. There is oftentimes artificial compliance reasons that assets have been categorized as brokerage assets that really can be serviced over on the advisory side. So we're 1099 model, both a hybrid as well as RIA only. All of our fees are included in our bundled pricing. The only additional fee is for E&O. So that is different based on if you're RIA only or if you're hybrid. Minimal, non-material fee on that. We are anaphylactically allergic to nickel and diming. And we are also just like righteous on our crusade about hidden fees. So that's why we charge a platform fee, and it includes all of our technology. It includes converting data. It includes all the branding and marketing. It includes like everything that the advisor needs to be set up to be successful when they've made the right choice and the exciting choice to become independent.
Tell me about the client billing, quarterly, advance, arrears. How do you guys approach that?
Quarterly, in advance. One like nuance that I will say, we talked a little bit about this. We do have the ability for advisors to charge for financial planning separately, charge for financial consulting. That is, and, we have advisors that are exploring some of this flat fee monthly billing for financial services. The other thing that I would mention is that during an advisor transition, we open up billing as those assets are coming on, so that we have the ability to help with some of that cash flow. And I think you have a section where we're going to talk about financing. Is that part of this?
We
You
can go
want
ahead
me
and
to get
talk
into
about it
that?
now if you like. Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. Because this is such a big, important part of it. And we've tried to take a really creative approach to it. So we have an equity swap program. So our growth capital partner is Long Ridge. They're an amazing partner helping us build RFG 3.0. We do an equity swap up to 10%. So it is a small piece. The idea here is our advisors want to own a piece of RFG, and we are excited to own a piece of them because we're all aligned around building the RIA of the future, building businesses, driving enterprise value. So that equity swap program, it allows us to value very highly in terms of either revenue multiple or an EBITDA multiple an advisor's practice. And it's a really exciting offering. It's something we had been asked about for a very long time. And with Long Ridge, we're now able to do that. So we have an equity swap program. We also have an amortizing loan program, which is available for succession planning. It's available for working capital if there's a forgivable loan that needs to be paid off. It is a very seamless. We spent about 2 years educating our banking partner in this. So it's a 4-page form. It's a really easy, it's not an SBA loan with a bunch of, clawbacks in it. It is a 10-year amort. It has no prepayment penalty. We're able to flex that so we can have it set up. We can flex it if needed for a lot of different uses. So we've got a couple different capital strategies that we make available to advisors, both for growth capital, for acquisitions, for succession planning, for really what is it that they need for their business.
Are there any restrictions on disaffiliation? And have you been through that in the last couple of years?
We are very fortunate. We have a high retention rate in the 99 percentile, but we have had a couple advisors who weren't a great fit for the platform leave. And this is something where it's like open kimono, show me your contract and I'll tell you how independent you really are. So for us, it is very clearly stated, these are the advisor's clients. This is the advisor's data. This is the advisor's brand. We ask the advisor to give us 30 days notice so that we can minimize disruption to their clients as they transition, and we pay them for 60 days. So we walk the walk on what it means to be independent. And you know what's so interesting about that, Jay? It circles back to the very beginning of tearing down the house and building the platform 2.0 into 3.0. If you're going to show up and say you're a client experience company first, you're going to align your entire team to be a team of A players serving advisors. There is nothing that keeps you not only more locked in and engaged and on the same side of the table as your advisors, but it forces you to really honor that promise when those are the terms of your agreement. You don't have like your clause through financial engineering sunk into the advisor. And it's like, it's going to be really hard to divorce me so I can be a bad wife. We don't have it.
Excellent. Let's wrap with this. What could you tell us about the exit strategy of RFG?
Oh my gosh, we're barely getting started. We are long-term value creation. We are long-term fun. We think that we are at the very beginning of a bull trend for independence. And this is, I have to be honest, like a little bit of a clarifying moment for me of late. Like I have this great privilege of attending a lot of industry events, of talking to a lot of advisors, I mean, it's such an honor to be able to be invited to speak in our industry. And what is becoming very clear is that the model is getting muddy at a lot of our competitors. A lot, like, you can affiliate through all these different channels. That is not us. We are helping advisors build their business without compromise. We believe in independence. We believe in supported independence. We are skewing younger. Average age is 48 years old. We're the platform that is going to be the succession plan for advisors. We're the platform for the advisor who wants to serve multi-generations of clients. And this is the very beginning of that bull market trend. So we're long-term bullish on enterprise value creation. We're long-term bullish on delivering independence to advisors. So, you never say never. My partner, Bobby, has a great, and I feel a very honest saying, which is, everything in life is for sale except for my faith and my family. But we believe that we are building something really special and have a community of advisors who want to make a mark on the industry for their clients, for the families they serve. They do noble work and they deserve a platform that is aligned with them fully on building their business and honoring that promise.
Shannon, this was a lot of fun. Where could advisors learn more about your firm?
RFGadvisory.com. We're all over social media. So LinkedIn, RFG Advisory, Shannon Spotswood, follow me there. Abby Salome is our Chief Growth Officer. We didn't talk a lot about our just team of amazing, talented individuals, but we're super honored to have Abby leading our growth team. You can follow her. You can follow Rick Waddell, my partner, who's our Chief Investment Officer, Brendan Frazier, Jordan Hutchison, who's our VP of Technology. We all have podcasts, Disruption Blueprint, Game Film, Wired Advisor, The Human Side of Money. We've got these cool newsletters. So we're on podcasts, we're on social, we're on the web at RFG Advisory. Lots of ways to really check us out and learn what we're all about, and if we're a great fit for helping you build your business. And Jay, thank you so much. It's rare that you are given this much time to dig in, and it's such an important decision. And what I will say, there's never been, whether it's with RFG or one of our incredibly, strong competitors, there's never been a better time to be independent. So if you're on the fence about should I or shouldn't I, like, it's a heck yeah. Get independent as fast as possible. And you will say the same thing that every advisor says, like, why did I wait so long?
That's a great way to end this, Shannon. Thank you so much for coming on.